Okay, so Sheila, thank you for your time. So we are all ears.
Okay.
Yep.
Hi everyone. Hi, Muhammad, Amrita, Candy. Thanks for spending your Wednesday evening with me. My name is Sheila. I am a center manager and a counselor at the Greenhouse. I'm also trained as a certified trauma practitioner, as well as a trauma and addictions practitioner. Yeah, so I started out with the Greenhouse in 2020 as a volunteer counselor, and then I joined them last year as staff. So what I'll be sharing with you today is really the Greenhouse's approach to working with our clients, how we use a trauma-informed way of working with clients through overcoming their addiction. Yeah. So maybe I'm not sure whether more people might be joining us, but I thought we can just start by letting you see a video of our virtual open house of the Greenhouse. So let me just pull up the video. Louis, maybe you can let me know if cannot hear or something is wrong with the video.
Yeah, we can hear and we can see the presentation as well.
Perfect, thank you.
Sheila, are you still on the first page?
We can see the presentation.
Yeah, we can see the slides only, the first
Oh,
slide.
you can only see the slides. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Only the presentation. All right, let me reshare. My apologies.
Yeah.
Okay, share screen again.
Just now was perfectly fine when we've tried out.
No problem. Let me try again. Do you see a different screen now? Like
we see the Greenhouse, the relate, rebuild, recover.
Okay, perfect. That should be the correct screen.
Hello.
Welcome to the Greenhouse.
Thanks for having me at the Greenhouse. So can you tell me more about the space?
So the Greenhouse is a substance use recovery center for marginalized and vulnerable communities who find it especially hard to seek help because of shame and fear of discrimination. We provide customized care that's holistic and integrated in a safe and supportive environment. So this is where we usually hold our recovery meetings. We hold about 5 a week and 15 people attend each time. This is where they share their experiences with each other so they don't feel alone in trying to stop using drugs or alcohol. But all of our meetings are online for the moment because of COVID restrictions. So we love this photo that our center manager, Tang, took so much that we put it here for everyone to see. This is essentially the decorations we put up to celebrate Pink Dot with everybody. We want everyone who steps in our center to know that regardless of your race, your gender, your sexual orientation, your HIV status, whether you've ever been incarcerated, that this is a safe space. We welcome everybody who wants to work on themselves and stop using drugs or alcohol.
I love that that's the first thing people see, like this is a safe space. I think that's so important and it just makes you feel like you're coming home. You know, it's such a nice thing to see. So can you tell me more about the peer support and caregiver programs?
So the three signature programs at our center are the peer support program, the counseling program, and the caregivers program, meaning we also support partners and family members of those struggling with addiction. So in a sense, this living room is pretty much like any other living room that you may walk into because we have staff volunteers, but like people who are in recovery, but also their family members meeting each other and getting well together. Come, let me show you the rest of the center.
Oh wow, this place is super cozy. So which part of the center are we at right now?
So we're actually in the counseling room. This is where we do our intake assessment and our individual counseling sessions.
So what does a typical counseling session look like?
Well, individual counseling at our center is 16 sessions, 1 per week for 16 weeks. Essentially, during intake assessment, we do a brief trauma history. We try to figure out what could be causing the addiction. Many of our beneficiaries have had really bad things happen to them. Physical abuse, sexual assault, bullying in school, or rejection by their families. During individual counseling sessions, the trained therapist helps the client to understand how these experiences have affected them, causing mental health challenges like anxiety and depression. So by addressing them directly, we actually help them to feel better, and that's how they naturally stop the using drugs and alcohol. So we're actually very grateful to all our donors and volunteer counselors, because together we actually managed to provide 700 free of charge individual counseling sessions and group therapy.
I love that you guys have an outdoor space. So what happens here?
So we tried to set up another counseling area here in this corner, but we realized that there's not enough privacy and isn't soundproof. So that's a major reason why we are looking for new premises, because we need to meet increasing demand for services. We need more space.
It's really interesting that you guys have a garden space at the back, like your own backyard.
Yes, many of our beneficiaries love this garden. They like looking at it. It helps them to feel a sense of peace. But it's also our signature garden, so many of our visitors will take photos here, especially when we have VIP. For example, Minister Shanmugam and Minister of State Sun Xueling. This store is actually very interesting. So when a client completes care at our center, we invite them to exit through this door, because we want them to know that even though the door is always open for them, that the point of recovery is to get up and get on with the lives again. We want to heal and grow together.
Hey. Hi, everyone. I think we have more people joining us. So I'll just reintroduce myself. My name is Sheila. I am Center Manager and Counselor at the Greenhouse. What you just saw was a virtual open house video that we did during COVID. Yeah, so some of the information is a little bit outdated. Like our meetings are all back physically in person. We're not online at the moment. Let me just share my slide deck and then we can jump right in. Okay. Also, just want to check if everyone can see the
Yes.
slide deck.
Yes,
Okay.
the working in marginalized and vulnerable communities.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you, Lewis. Also just wanted to share that this we can keep it really informal. Feel free to jump in with a question anytime. You can just unmute yourself and ask a question, or you can wait till the end. I really am not fussed about it. Like whatever feels comfortable for you. Okay, so I'll be sharing a little bit about how like how and why we use a trauma-informed lens when working with our clients who come from very marginalized and vulnerable communities. But first, just want to share that the meeting is being recorded. However, this really is a safe space, and we're all just here to share information and learn from each other. Happy to hear your diverse opinions, your diverse views, and also to learn from the rest of you who might also be practitioners in the space. If we have, different views about it, really appreciate if we can have a dialogue around it and use I language and just respect each other's opinions. So really hoping that we can all benefit and learn something new by the end of it, me included. So something we do at the Greenhouse is to always start with a check-in. Since we are on a virtual space, I thought maybe we can just make use of the chat box. And if you could just type in one or two words or even a phrase or a sentence, about maybe what you are feeling at the moment, as well as what you are maybe hoping to learn today. I'll be very interested to hear how everyone's doing. It is the midweek, it's a Wednesday night. Yeah, hopefully everyone had fairly calm weeks. I think I need to minimize this to be able to access the chat box.
Okay. Is this time for us to key in our?
Yeah, yes.
Oh,
Please
okay.
do. Please do
Oh.
key in. I'm
Check-in
interested to
question,
see. Yeah. How's
Uh,
everyone feeling, or what are you
uh,
thinking?
okay,
What are
so
you hoping to take
everyone
away?
just key in one word to describe yourself now, or at least your aspirational emotions, what you hope to have.
Oh, nice. We have one forthcoming.
Forthcoming, Rosemary. Okay, so what's for myself? Hmm. I'm feeling very calm actually now.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Can I?
Nice, open mind,
Yeah.
calm. Yeah, I think I'm feeling calm and connected. That would be me.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Sheila, because you ooze that calmness, right? So I think everybody is feeling calm.
We can co-regulate. Great. Thank you. Thanks everyone for just, joining in this little activity. Happy to hear how everyone is doing. All right, we can move on. Okay. So I know that we all just watched the video, but let me just share a little bit more in detail about, who we are at the greenhouse and what we do. So we are a recovery center for marginalized and vulnerable communities. We help women, those who are LGBT, racial minorities, those who are living with HIV, heal from trauma and outgrow addiction. What we do is we provide competent and compassionate care that does not further stigmatize or re-traumatize those who seek help at our center, regardless of their race, religion, gender, or sexual orientation. I think the reason why there is this perhaps maybe the fact that we even highlight the LGBT, HIV positive, gender, sexual orientation is also because the people who the first few clients that came together with our founder Alaric to set up the greenhouse were from these communities, and about 90% of our clients are gay men. But we are growing. We have a growing number of clients who are straight, transgender, women, even married individuals. So we are growing in diversity in that respect as well.
Okay. So it's
Mm,
not just the women now, because down there you put there women. So it's also the men now, right?
yes, correct. But we highlighted women because we feel that in many ways women are still a minority. Yeah, in terms, yeah, and they could still be they may face more stigmatized identities or more vulnerabilities depending on the communities they come from.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay.
So here I want to just share a snapshot of a typical client profile that we may see at the greenhouse. So you can take your time to read this. Yeah. I'm also curious, for those of us here who are maybe practicing as counselors or in social work, just what are some of the presenting issues, right, that you see here? Perhaps the complexity of what he's going through, the different intersections of the communities he's in, the identities that he holds, his view of himself, being rejected by others, being insecure, perhaps even rejecting himself, right, and not feeling safe to share who he really is, right? So these are very, very common types of profiles that we see at our center, which is why we feel that a lot of the times our job is really to make sure that we help them feel safe, to not re-traumatize them, and to help them understand that what they're going through is human, right? It's just challenges about being a human being, and it is not that there's anything wrong with them or anything that we need to fix. Yeah. Okay, yes. So here you will see also, keeping in mind the case study that we just saw, right? there is this a Venn diagram of the different barriers, that are presenting issues that might become barriers to someone wanting to seek help, right? There are so many different parts of themselves that they feel unsafe to seek help, perhaps from discrimination or different reasons of feeling unsafe. So if you look at the sexuality part, before 377A was repealed, there was a lot of fear around, if something happens to me, can I go to the police? Can I go to a social worker? Will I be reported? Will something happen, right? Then, of course, with substance use, our very strict anti-drug laws makes it very scary for a lot of our clients who want to seek help. And then, of course, we have the HIV status. A lot of our clients, I think about 50% of our clients are individuals living with HIV. So there's also this sense of, will people understand? Will I be discriminated against? Will they ask a lot of questions and I won't be able to answer, or I don't feel safe to answer? So all of these are barriers to help seeking. And something we also notice is when clients, when we talk to clients at the greenhouse, they also receive very fragmented care. So they go to different professionals for help with the different parts of themselves, but there is no one place they can go to that addresses all of the issues holistically together. Yeah, so at the greenhouse, we also, that's also our aim, that we can be a one-stop place that someone can be free to bring all of themselves and receive that help to heal and grow. So to circumvent, or to make it easier, to remove the barriers to care, this is our approach really, to offer services that are anonymous, that are LGBT affirming, that are sex positive and trauma informed. So that these are the things that we've introduced and tried to build into our culture so that we remove the barriers to care and people feel safe to come. So even up to today, the number of clients that we get via referral is actually not as high when you compare it to clients who come on their own accord, who just, it's a friend told me about the greenhouse, so I'm finding out more. Usually they will contact me on my work number, like someone would have passed them my work number, or they use our contact form on the website to drop us an email. And so most of them are self-referred and they come on their own volition. Okay. So at the greenhouse, why is there the emphasis not just on addiction, but on trauma and addiction? So the first, one of the first things we do when clients come in to the greenhouse is we do an intake assessment. So the intake assessment will ask for demographic information, information about mental health, physical health, support system, as well as a brief trauma history. So this is done by a peer supporter. So we don't go into a lot of depth about the trauma history, but it's just to understand which of these apply to the client. So you will see that those where the box is highlighted in red and beige, right, are kind of a bit more related to the LGBT community. And the HIV stigma occurs a bit more often for those in the community as well. Yeah. So this is, and this trauma history is something that we always go back to try and understand how to work with this client and what might be the difficult points for them to overcome in the course of their recovery or treatment with us. So this is also an internal study that we did. We have researchers on our board, and we utilize them very much, as well as students who are mainly students who are doing public health. We get research interns as well to help us conduct internal studies and surveys of our clients. So this was one such internal research that we did, and we found that family disconnection, bullying in school, and guilt and shame over their sexual orientation have been the top reasons, top presenting issues, as well as the top reasons identified for why they had turned to substance use. And in terms of statistics, 100% of our clients present with traumatic incidents in their history. The average client presents with about 5 incidents or 5 types of traumas, and the most we have ever encountered was someone who presented with 15 traumatic incidents. That means 15 of these boxes were ticked for that client, which really is a lot. Yeah. I'm just wondering, before I keep going on, I'm just going to check the chat and see if there's
Yeah,
any
there's
question.
someone who wanted to
I wanted to connect.
yeah, wanted to connect with Ishmael, so you can take down the number and connect with him.
Understand.
It's into mental health. He's into
Okay.
mental health and also on addiction. So there's a overlap of issues.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Great. And anytime, like, the rest of you who are still here, just feel free to chime in if you have questions. And if I'm going too fast, too slow, so just tell me. Yeah. Okay.
Sure, sure.
I'll move on to the next slide. Okay. So, why do we see addiction as a trauma response, right? Why is the trauma history and the emphasis on that so important? So at the greenhouse, our basic training really teaches us that if there is no pain, if there is no pain is a presenting issue, then there would be no reason to try to soothe that pain or to find a way to figure out how to avoid that pain, right? So I think many of you may know Gabor Mate. He's one of the leading addiction experts. He's a psychologist. He's a medical doctor, and along the way started working in mental health. So here are some quotes of his, that addiction really is a response to human suffering. And I think something I've learned while talking to a lot of my clients is that a lot of people tell them that, it's a choice, that it was a choice. But for a lot of them, they felt like, I've tried everything and nothing is helping me. Nothing is taking away my pain. Nothing is taking away, nothing is giving me the relief that I need. And this was the only thing that worked, right? Which is also why it's so difficult to give up substances, because I'm giving up the only thing I know that has worked for me. How can I know that there is something better out there? How can I know that I will be okay when I give this up, right? So it's really very complicated. So a lot of the work deals with helping them understand, overcome their trauma, and also giving them a hope for the future so that they can see it's worthwhile to give up substances, that there can be a better life after giving up substances. And there are better ways to cope than substances as well. So if you notice, there is actually, these are of course studies done in the West. There is a lot of correlation between individuals with SUD, which is substance use disorders, and trauma. So you would notice that at least almost 90% of people seeking treatment or in treatment have for addiction have trauma histories. A lot of individuals with PTSD, there's a much higher chance that they are going to fall into addictive behaviors compared to the rest of the population. And if the trauma isn't treated, if the trauma is left unattended, the substance use disorder could become a lot worse. There are poorer outcomes. So these are all pretty evidence-based, and it's studies done in the West. It's statistics and research that I was able to read when I was doing a trauma and addiction course with Arizona, with the center in a trauma center in Arizona. So yeah, pretty serious stuff here. And so just want to say that given the fact that at the greenhouse, we really like to use evidence-based methods of helping our clients. We work, so that was when we decided that, trauma work has to be an integral part of our interventions. And it's not just the therapists or the counselors involved, but everything about the center, our values, culture, all the volunteers, all the peer supporters, everyone involved has to be trauma informed in some way to ensure that we can do our jobs well. So here are the values that we have refined over the years. And we call this our values. We also call this the greenhouse way. So these are the things that we ensure that we take seriously and do. One is to be data-driven. We always do our own research and we compare them to data from existing studies. We like doing our own studies because a lot of the studies that are coming out are from the West, and we want to make sure that we have information from an Asian context, a Singaporean context, to make sure that to see whether there are any correlations or differences, right? So evidence-based, we only practice what has been proven to work, and we see that if we use a trauma-based approach, there are better outcomes in addiction work. We are trauma-informed because we want to actively avoid re-traumatization. A lot of our clients have been, rejected or felt that they weren't adequately helped, or that maybe sometimes they have been in situations where maybe the questions asked during the intake or having to give their NRIC details was very scary, very traumatizing. So we try to find ways to avoid the re-traumatization. Strengths-based, we want clients to know that they are the experts of their own lives, and they have capacity, they have intelligence, they can set their lives back on course with their own strengths and values. Person-centered, we meet the client where they are. So we pace ourselves with the client. If they need more rounds of counseling, if they need longer peer support, we'll always do what we can to help. Sex positive, especially for our clients in the LGBT community, a lot of them have been shamed for, who they love and how they love people, and we want to normalize it for them, because sexualized drug use is very common, especially in the gay community, and we need to normalize and talk about what healthy sex is so that they can stop sexualized drug use. Yeah, and of course LGBT affirming, so we affirm the client for who they are and accept them for who they are. But these are the values that we practice. This is really the client journey at the greenhouse. The first point of contact would usually be me, but they wouldn't see me in person. It's usually email or text. And I will try to check with them if I'll explain what the intake assessment is like and whether they are comfortable to come down. If they are, I will pass their contact number to a trained peer supporter to do the intake assessment. So we think it's very important that the first person they meet at the greenhouse in person is somebody with lived experience, somebody who can give them the confidence that, hey, I've walked the journey and I believe you can too, right? After the initial intake assessment, the client will receive a care plan. So the care plan, later I will show you all the activities and services we provide at the greenhouse. So the care plan will basically have all of these activities there, and the client chooses what they want to do, how frequently they wish to commit to it, how will they cope with their urges and cravings in the meantime. And then following the care plan, what we'll do is we'll get the client to share their care plan with their assigned peer supporter to then go ahead and make appointments. Do you need to go for testing? Do you need medical care? Do you want to seek counseling in-house or with a different community partner? Do you want to start attending meetings? Would you like someone to accompany you? So then after the care plan is given, all of these things are set in motion. So if you look on the right side of the screen, it's basically Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And then on the left side is the greenhouse, our four pillars, our approach to how we help our clients. So we want to ensure that all of these needs are met: biological, social, psychological, and spiritual. So the care plan that we give the client will have options from each of these segments. So for example, they can choose, if they say, hey, I'm actually having maybe hallucinations, or I'm having drug-induced psychosis. We do have some friends at NAMS. We do have doctors that we recommend our clients go to. We work closely with NCID. We have even private psychiatrists who are close partners and friends who really understand our work, the people that we trust, and we can refer our clients to these individuals. And then when it comes to psychological care, we provide in-house counseling, therapeutic activities like therapeutic horticulture. We have a volunteer who does expressive arts therapy. There's group therapy as well. For the more social element, social and spiritual, I would say we have a trauma-informed 12 steps. It's kind of like NA, but we used a trauma-informed 12 steps manual to rewrite the program that we do in-house. We also have a smart recovery program, and we have hiking. We recently introduced movie night as well, so that they can be more social activities, because we want to make recovery fun for the clients as well. On the spiritual side, recovery ambassadors, peer supporters, volunteering in whatever way is very meaningful, purposeful. It motivates clients to continue their abstinence journey as they help others. And we also have volunteers who do yoga and mindfulness sessions. Yeah. So this is what the client will see in their care plan, and then they can choose what they feel like they would be keen to try out. So this is another in-house research that we did that sort of assessed the different segments of activities and services that we provide, and whether it has been helpful for our clients in any way. So we noticed that for this group that we surveyed, there was big, very significant increase across the board for physical, social, and psychological health. So that was good news for us. And we also noticed that about 4 in 5 clients did not require a care plan review. A care plan review is what we do when they have a lapse or a relapse. Yeah. So by looking, by having a trauma-informed way of working with clients and ensuring that the different parts that make up a human being, the bio, psycho, social, and spiritual ones, working with all of these different parts, we see that there is a good measure of success in doing it this way. So another important intervention is really our people. We have our peer support volunteers. So we choose them very, we have a process to choose. We want to make sure that it's not just how long you're in recovery or how successful your recovery is. You also need to have the right disposition, suitable personality. We will send them for very intensive training. We're actually in the midst of our current run of peer support training. So they have to give up many of their weekends to come for whole day training on basic counseling, on ethics, substance use, trauma, gender, and sexuality. So we want to make sure that we are equipping them with everything they need to journey with someone in a very professional way. And what we also hope to do for our peer support volunteers is to help them move along their own journey. You started out your identity as a substance user, then you move on to identifying that I am a trauma survivor, and that I can be a wounded healer, and I can move on to be a recovery ambassador. Yeah. So once they are in the recovery ambassador stage, that will be, at a time where they are more confident to share their stories, to talk about their own experiences, even in public forums. We bring them along to workshops. And once talking about their past is no longer a secret, it becomes very empowering for them. The other volunteer group we have, besides the peer supporters, are the counselors. We do 1 to 2 internship intakes a year. So this year, we just finished interviewing for our counseling internship program, 7th intake. Counselors need to be, you don't need to have completed the master's, but you need to at least be working towards your master's. We will interview them, we will give them a case study, and we want to make sure that we are screening for certain values, attitudes, and proficiency, because the clients we work with are very complex. issues that we need to work with them slowly. So we want to make sure we are picking very safe people. And for similar to the peer supporters, the counselors also go through very grueling about 4 weekends of training. We talk to them about trauma-informed therapy and practice, ethics, substance use, what is affirmative therapy, diversity and inclusion, conceptualizing using trauma as a framework, as well as clinical documentation. Just wanted to share this last part, to share that there are actually very, very simple ways to be trauma informed, and and to not stigmatize or not re-traumatize people. And it's as simple as just changing our language up a little bit, and that makes a lot of difference when working with clients who feel like people generally discriminate against them or don't understand them or make them feel rejected. So, for example, the words that you see in the dark green boxes, we try very hard not to use those terms at the greenhouse. We prefer to use terms like problematic use or active use. We usually celebrate, we try not to say clean. How long have you been clean for? We would say, how long have you been abstinent? And in our trauma-informed 12 steps, our clients don't say, hi, my name is Sheila, I'm an addict. They would say, hi, my name is Sheila, I'm in recovery. When someone has a lapse or relapse, we will say, return to use instead. When we talk about HIV, instead of saying infected or disease, we will say testing positive or being reactive for HIV, right? So words do have a lot of power. Yeah. And something we try to do in a trauma-informed and strength-based kind of environment is to use assumptive language. So we always want to give the client the assurance that we believe in their own competency and capacity, that we understand they have strength. When I ask them, when was the very first time you waited before using, right? It assumes that I know they can wait, that they can cope with their urges, that they have a thought process, that they can tell their own story, right? That they can reflect. So these are ways that we try to even amend our language to be trauma-informed and strength-based. Yeah, just more information about why assumptive language is helpful for clients. Yeah, and I think that is the end of my presentation.
Yes, thanks a lot, Sheila, for giving us this informative knowledge sharing. I was just a little curious regarding this clean. How come clean is not it's a traumatizing language?
Maybe I won't say traumatizing, but we try to avoid binary language. So the opposite of clean is dirty, and dirty, so if I'm not clean, am I dirty? Am I bad? Is there something wrong with me? So we want to avoid languages that make people see themselves in it's very in duality or binary.
Okay, so it's the implication of not being clean lah.
Correct.
I see.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
can. Okay, it's been quite educational for myself. Just to listen to this and also see that there are different perspectives through which we see people lah. I think we should open up the time to our participants to ask their curious questions. Would there be any questions from
absolutely.
our participants? It's a small intimate group and we are informal, so please feel free to even show your own face if you want and ask their questions.
Yeah, happy to answer questions. If I don't know the answer, I will look it up and I will email you.
Hi, Sheila, I have a question.
Yes, hi.
Yeah, my name is Izwan. I'm from, okay lah. I wear a lot of hats, but today
Okay.
I come as from Agents of Change.
Right.
I would love to know how to be trauma-informed trained. So, where do I go? Which which door should I open first?
Right. Okay, there are some online trainings that that you can look up. Another avenue I can, like the place that I did my trainings with is the Arizona Trauma Institute. I really do enjoy their trainings. They do have online live classes as well as pre-recorded classes. Yeah. So I really like their approach. But it's very progressive because it's in the US, right? So we have to take what works within the Singaporean context lah. Yeah. But apart from that, I think if you look, there's this other website, NICABM. I can't remember what it stands for, but like NICABM, they have a lot of online courses as well on many different topics, and a lot of experts. They actually have panels of experts in these doing these pre-recorded trainings, and usually it's quite affordable as well.
Yeah, just to add to that, so my name is Deborah, and I run a trauma-informed consulting company in Singapore. So Ismail, to your point, I'm trained at the Trauma Research Foundation. So if you've heard of Bessel van der Kolk, he actually has a course, and then a lot of leading practitioners are included in that course. It's a very holistic approach. Like, it's not just like a person, it's systematic as well. So they have a big picture view, and then there's more like a therapeutic view as well, using some of the latest modalities like IFS and somatics and ARC, a lot of the modalities that have been developed by the leading professionals in the field. So that's a course that's quite accessible as well. So you can check that out. Yeah, I just to introduce myself. So I just love that we can connect, and I am just to share, I'm like a somatic coach, and I also have a podcast. I run some courses as well. One of them is called Foundations of Trauma course, which is like providing caregivers, especially with an idea, because a lot of caregivers in Singapore don't actually like know what trauma is. A lot of people have very kind of a very like limited understanding of trauma. So that's kind of where I take them. And then yeah, I'm just curious about the work that you're doing, and I'm really like excited to see like that, a lot of the results that have come back have proven to be very positive. And I guess what I'm curious to know is over time, like what do some of your clients go on to do within the community? Like, are they finding like the sense of purpose and meaning, or like I love that part where you were talking about being a wounded healer, because I definitely connect with that as well. So I'm just curious to hear about that.
Yeah, so nice to meet you, Deborah. Nice to connect with a fellow trauma practitioner. I think for a lot of our clients, they volunteer, the ones who I feel do well and sustain their recovery well, they volunteer. Whether and a lot of them don't just volunteer at the greenhouse, right? They're volunteering all over the place. They volunteer at other recovery places. They volunteer at hospitals. They volunteer what is it? At as befrienders,
Right.
a whole range. I think to be able to give back and find meaning and purpose in that has been quite I would say a common denominator in the clients that actually really do well.
And do they go
in their
program
recovery.
as well, like the period, like so they get the training, and I noticed that all of them have the people that volunteer within your organization all have had histories of drug
The peer supporters, yes.
Yeah.
The counselors don't have to. They come in through our counseling internship program. But we definitely do have a handful of counselors with lived experience as well. So very powerful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I also kind of wanted to connect as well, because a friend of mine told me about this. His name is Aldrin, and like and then also like I have a podcast, and actually one of my previous episodes was on addiction and recovery, because it's deeply, as you know, as you well know, like it's deeply connected with trauma as well.
Okay. Okay, any other questions from our participants?
I'll just jump in. I'm Amrita. We're working with female ex-offenders. And as you know, a lot of it is about drug abuse as well. Um, so I was wondering, is there a lot of people who are ex-offenders in the group that you're working with?
Mm. We do have individuals who have been to DRC.
Okay.
We also have individuals who have never been incarcerated. So it's a mixed group.
It's a mix. Okay. So one of the things as we are trying to reach out and build a network of befrienders, in fact, is that it is a challenge to find people who want to come back and be befrienders. And what I'm suspecting is that because they themselves are holding themselves strong, because the drug habit is such that you can fall back into it, that they are a bit tentative to put themselves out there. But you seem to be saying that you're able to build that, and that brings meaning and purpose. So it's really good to hear about your success in this, and maybe we will touch base and we will be able to learn something and
Yeah,
get
it
some
actually,
befrienders from you as well, and it'll work both ways.
yeah, happy to share about our peer support program,
Mm,
yeah, and connect about it. It really does take a long time from the time someone first shows up at our door for
mm,
recovery to the point that they become peer supporters. There are many people who have sustained their recovery, and yet we don't choose them
yes.
for whatever reasons that might be, right? It might be,
Mm,
it could be personality, it could be the fact that we realize that maybe trauma history, more triggers, like they have more
right.
triggers that they have to cope with. So not everyone is suitable.
Mm,
And even those that we select after they go through the training, not everyone who goes through the training actually makes the cut also.
right.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I noticed in terms of the words and the language that you're talking about, I think that is so important. And I'm really glad to see it in written form, because I think a lot of us function rather informally up with it, and we don't really have it in more written, documented, shareable ways that you seem to have evolved. I think that really helps to also involve people who have not been through these challenges but want to be involved and want to help. And so it sort of gives them a crash course on, hey, okay, you may not understand this experience, but perhaps this will help you deal with the person in front of you without causing too much of uh, discord, I'm going to say, or discomfort. So that was also really nice.
Yeah, thank you. I'm
to
I'm
see.
glad I'm glad you appreciated that. Yeah, it was a really steep learning curve for me as well, because I'm not from the community, and I don't, prior to joining the greenhouse, I didn't have experience with substance use or individuals living with HIV, so it was a steep learning curve, definitely.
Right. I've started building some, and I will pick some up from yours. So thank you.
Um, Perhaps maybe regarding Amrita's point about the befrienders, right? Can I just suggest that correct me if I'm wrong, that for a greenhouse, I think your community sense of community is pretty strong. That
Mm,
actually the community, they see themselves probably as family.
yeah,
Whether so
yeah.
that sense of the sense that you still want to connect back because this is your family, because their real family may have rejected them.
You
So
have a
so
good
that's why
point there. Yes.
so
Yeah.
that's why in the end, for them to come back to their own family and support their own chosen family, it's natural.
Yeah. The theme of chosen family is really, really strong at the greenhouse. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So if I may, I might probe a little bit on that. This, I feel like how do we get them to choose their family? So for example, if there's a befriender for somebody who has chosen to come in for help, do they get to choose their own befriender, for example? Is there a process for that?
No, so we don't let the peer supporters choose, but we
Okay.
try to match
Okay.
in terms of profile
Mm,
and lived experiences. We try to match as much as possible. The idea of chosen family is more like Louis shared, the home and family may not always be the safest.
yes.
So being with so the clients always say, you know, like the greenhouse, this community is the only place I can talk openly about my addiction, my substance use, my experiences, you know, and so it's so important, this community that they have here.
Yes. I think it's similar to what is going on at Agape as well, because the people that are there are largely ex-offenders and ex-drug addicts. So therefore, they tend to connect with each other. But the reason I'm also asking this is when we formally try to do it, it may not work as well. They pick up their informal, there are people who are natural mentors who pick up people and handhold them, and that works. That natural selection works better than sometimes when you befriend people and it doesn't click, they may not actually follow through with it. And it's okay to have that space where they say, okay, I chose my own person and group and people. But it's because there's a community that they can do that, which is also what you're saying. There's a larger community. So the formal one or the selected one may not be the only support system. There are others, and that might also work out. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So for myself, I also have a question regarding the re-traumatizing, because I think while your counselors are trying to work with this group of beneficiaries, the issue is that they are still facing current rejection. So how then do you deal with this constant sense of rejection while at the same time trying not to trying to move them on from the trauma that they suffered in the past, and it still works into the current.
Yeah.
So it's very challenging, right?
Yes, definitely challenging. I think helping them, a lot of times when people are rejected, they internalize it and they think that it is because something is wrong with them, perhaps. So a lot of the work is also helping the client to come to a place of love and acceptance for their own self, and to realize that, you know, when someone rejects me, you know, it could be a them thing. It may not be a me thing, and I am still whole and loved and accepted. And there are people who love and accept me as well. And being okay with the fact that not everyone is going to like me and love me, and that is okay. Yeah.
Okay, so it's about finding your own acceptance among your own community lah. There are
And for
chosen
their
community.
own self.
Yes, for themselves also. Yeah. I think Asmi raised hands. Is it because you want to ask a question?
Yeah, hi. Okay,
Hi.
firstly, thanks for inviting AOC to this great meeting. You know, it is an honor, you know, for a small support group being invited to this kind of meeting. It's just that, okay, I'm running a support group for addicts, you know, like I just I need a knowledge, like, you know, either me and some of my colleagues are we supposed to be equipped with knowledge or skill or courses in dealing with addicts? And I'm 13 years abstinent, clean from drugs, everything.
Wow, amazing.
So that's why we are running this support group. It's only that I'm doing this is for my good and also for my fellow members in the group. So maybe I need advice from Mr. Luis or Sheila, you know.
I think when you are there with your 13 years of lived experience, it's already so powerful. You know, our peer supporters, there are individuals who are not peer supporters but are doing well in their recovery, who do run the 12 steps meetings at the greenhouse as well, you know, and it's really just coming from a place of wanting to serve. So I won't say that you need, you know, all this specialized training to be able to do it. The specialized training is helpful if you feel like there are certain areas that maybe you need to get some training on tools that the people coming to your team might be interested in. Maybe like a good I found Smart Recovery to be a helpful program because they teach you a lot of tools. There's a toolbox on like, oh, if you want to cope with urges, these are the tools to use. If you want to maintain your abstinence, these are the tools to use. So it really depends on what you think the group you're working with needs at this point in time. Or if you feel like what they really need is psychosocial emotional support, then maybe just simple basic counseling, type might also be useful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because
just
I
to
believe that I was also in the 12-step support group, and I believe in the, especially on early stage of recovery, which I ever went through, and there is a lot of difficulties, which I faced at a point of time, and without some skills or knowledge, I can just easily went back to using drugs. So I think it is important, not only for me and for all my members in the group, to at least gain. It could be like, how to say, maybe it is not relevant to my experience, but it is useful to be used once I'm captured in a trap. I'm trapped in somewhere or whatsoever things are, yeah.
Yeah. So just to answer a little bit more and supplement what Sheila mentioned, actually it all depends on the kind of work that they are doing. So it depends on the beneficiary you're trying to help. You find that perhaps if AOC is focusing a lot on family, then it's good to pick up skills and knowledge pertaining to family work, right? And if let's say, for example, you want to be involved in reconciliation work between family members, then perhaps restorative practice techniques will also be good to go for RP and RJ knowledge. Right. So if you are going to counseling on trauma, then of course, then you have to go for trauma, what do you call it? Trauma,
Like
form
training
training and all that. Yeah. So it all depends on the kind of work that you like to be involved in. Yeah. And of course, faith-based is also good because I think faith has a place in all our area of intervention as well. Yeah.
Because for my support group, we are not only involved with addicts. We open a small gap for family to get together with us in the group.
Yes.
I think Mr. Luis know from Izwan or from Sofian about this, So
also, by the way, AOC will be doing the sharing for next month.
Oh,
I got a lot of
nice.
information from this one.
I don't know who gonna be the lucky one
Mr. Azmi will be sharing
Yes, so AOC is good
yeah,
for family work. Yeah.
I'll be grateful for that and like I'm interested if what Sheila says that the recovery ambassador. It's like, wow, I couldn't be the Rolex ambassador. Why not I be the recovery ambassador? It makes a lot of difference in my life, to be honest. When she says about ambassador, I was like daydreaming, okay. I was there once,
This is a whole new concept. Not say a new concept, but this is something that we always have known that the ones who went through the experience, right, the living experience are the best people to effectively connect with those who are trying to heal or recover from the current situation. That's why we have this concept called the Desisters Network. You went through being a inmate, so you come back and you help those who are currently inmates. And the same with this peer support, system that Greenhouse has set up is also tapping into the living experience of those that have gone through trauma. So whichever category you come from, whether you're homeless or maybe mental health, it works effectively when you have gone through it and you have recovered somewhat, and you can turn back and help those who are in the process of recovery.
Yeah,
so it's the
I
same
believe
concept.
that. And,
yeah.
and the most important thing is abstinent clean. Total abstinence, that is much more important, Yeah, because some people will judge alcohol separately because alcohol is legal in Singapore. But for me, I treat alcohol the same as drug. That's why I always say that you have to be clean, total abstinent clean. Yeah. Anyway, it's good to make this beautiful. I don't know that God created beautiful people out here who really want to help people like me and the fellow friend, my fellow friends now that who still suffering and struggling lah. I think that's all is my question for today. Thanks.
Thanks,
Okay.
Mr. Azmi.
Yes. Any other questions from our participants here?
Yes, I have a question. Ismail here, from A Voice to Be Heard. And earlier, when I came in, then I left, because I got a Zoom meeting earlier, at 8 o'clock. So the earlier part where you mentioned about there are, where you do engage also people with like LGBTQ.
With
And
what, sorry?
with the LGBTQ.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yes, and it's both male and female as well.
Mhm.
Okay, so my question is, sometimes back I have this guy who then he completely changed, and then he shared with me is that he went in and out prison for 2-3 times for struggling of his own identity. He did not know where he falls. He falls under the man or lady. Yeah. So he went for a therapy until he finally realized that, hey, I'm more of have a more of a feminine. Yeah. So, and that's one. Two is some of the guys they have also issues where some of the guys say, hey bang, my wife, uh, he has a boyfriend. So, and that boyfriend is a lady. Okay? So these are the two thing me working with the population. So the thing here is what type of help you able to assist them in the process, because one is get confused whether I'm a guy or a girl until finally turn it to trans, and this lady and this guy with the wife with a boyfriend which is Bush. Yeah. So how can Green House advise here? What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say, at the greenhouse, since our focus is mainly on substance use and trauma, right? Those would be the areas that we are working on. And if in the midst of the conversation, it comes up that, I'm using because of this, the conflict I'm feeling within me about my own gender identity. I'm not quite sure, and so that would be something that we will try and explore with them very openly, to just have a conversation around, is this difficulty the reason that you're feeling so much dissonance and all the stress, and that's why you're using. It is among the trans community, there is quite a bit of substance use issues as well, and a lot of it does stem from the not being accepted, not being who I am, not having the space to explore who I am. So that does happen.
Stigmatized.
Yeah. So in those cases, we also work with our partners in the community, like Trans Befrienders, as well as T Project. So we wouldn't work alone with the client. We may also refer them to a community partner that knows best. After counseling with them, if we realize that maybe these are the issues, then we will also want to plug them in with more community partners who are experts in the issue. And actually we do also see married clients who are bisexual, and they are struggling with the fact that they are married to, say, a man or a woman, but they may have a partner of a different gender as well. So then for clients like that, what we work on is also their values. If you are what are your values, and if you're living a values-based life, what choices would you make? And what do you want to keep, what do you want to give up, without telling them what they should do, but helping them arrive at a decision that is aligned with the values for the kind of life that they want. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So this has been quite a fruitful session. I think there's quite a lot of questions coming forth. Before we end the session, we just want to check in whether anybody has any last comments or questions to raise. And also, I think it'll be good for Sheila to maybe leave a contact behind so that people can reach out to you after today's session.
Sure, I'll put my email in the
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah. Okay. And also, I think there's also time for feedback. So perhaps maybe William's here, right? You can add the link into the chat so that people can fill up the feedback. Yeah, thanks, William. So that will be the feedback form. Please to fill up and give us your feedback. We appreciate your honest feedback so that we can improve on our sessions lah. But before we end the session, maybe we can check in one last time. Any other questions, burning questions that you want to raise? So it seems everybody is good. Okay. So I want to thank you, Sheila, once again for making time for this sharing. It's been a pleasure listening to you. Really, it's very informative and very calm, and can tell that you really enjoy doing your work. Yes. So with that, I think we end tonight's session. It will be uploaded to YouTube on our Maxport Pies. And do look out for next session next month, sharing by AOC. Okay. And
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you, Lois, for organizing.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate everyone for spending your midweek evening here with us. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Sheila. Bye-bye. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank
Thank
you.
Luis.
Thank you.
Okay.
One
Thank
is
you.
one, William.
Bye.
Yeah, Azmi.
Okay.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Good
Sure.
night.
Thanks, Luis. Thanks, Sheila. See you on the 27th.
Okay.